Hi Celo. In this section of the video, we're going to be creating a Celo phone node inside of this virtual machine. So, the first thing you want to do is open up this terminal, and I'm going to go to Preferences and change the color so it's a bit nicer to look at. It looks more professional. Now the first thing I want to do is gain sudo on this machine. So sudo essentially means I'll have root access to this machine. So enter your root password that you created when you made this node, and then enter user mod capital G sudo, and then the username that you're currently logged into. So that would be Dan, as you can see it up there. Okay, now we restart the virtual machine. Alright, so now that we're back in the terminal, let's do ID. Now you can see I'm in the sudo group. So now that we're in the sudo group, we can start installing and updating this machine. So the first thing I'm going to do is sudo apt update. Sorry about that. So let's make sure it's up to date, and then sudo apt upgrade. Alright, now let's start installing some dependencies. So the first one's going to be Docker. Docker.io. Install this on the machine. And that will be for running the light client. The second is curl, and that's for inserting links as scripts and to create new files. And the third one's Vim, and that's going to be our text editor that we're going to be using. So the next thing we want to do is enable copy and paste between your virtual machine and the host machine. So to do that, we're going to go in the top corner, and you can't see this on your screen, but go in Devices, and then go to Insert Guest Editions, and then Insert Guest Editions, and press OK. Now let's do CD media, CD-ROM, enter ls. Now the one we want to run is VBox Linux Edition, so sudo sh VBox Linux editions.run, and just make sure everything's capitalized correctly. Alright, it's running it. So it's downloading this stuff. Okay, so now before we restart, we're going to enable the dynamic screen resolution. So right now your screen resolution is not very good, and it can't be changed. So we're going to build essential Linux headers, which will allow us to change the screen resolution. And also does a bunch of other important stuff and installs some important files. So now let's restart, and I'll see you then. Alright, so now that copy and paste is working, let's start creating the environment. So I'm going to paste this in, and this will install Node.js and NVM, that file. Then after that, we always want to source in this file after we implement it. So now we're going to install NVM. Then we're going to tell the machine to use NVM. And that's the latest version of Node.js. And then next, let's install the Celo client onto this app, onto this client. So obviously you could just paste that in, but I was just typing it out. So after the Celo client's installed, let's join the Docker group. So the Docker group will be used for running the light client, and where it says your username, put in your logged in username again. Okay, and now we have to restart the virtual machine again. Alright, so after the restart, let's do ID, and we're in the Docker group, so that's great. Alright, so next up, let's use the shebang, and this is a interpreter directive, and we just told the machine to interpret it in bash, because the following argument we're going to paste in is going to be in bash. And this basically tells celo.env to be loaded into the terminal. Okay, there we go. That's it. And then now we're still interpreting bash, so let's create a new window. Close that. And then now we're going to insert celo.env. So I'm going to use curl to insert this, but you can use whatever method you like. The files are down below. The contents of the file are down below, and then we're also going to insert a second file called startcelo.sh, and this is going to be for starting the light client, and then we're going to source it in as well. So perfect, it was sourced in. But the one thing missing from celo.env is the account address, so we're going to do that right now. Actually, first we're going to make a directory. So makedir makes a new directory. It's going to be called celo data directory. So let's cd into that, and then we're going to move celo.env and start celo.sh into this directory with nv, and then let's source them in. Okay. Okay, so now they're sourced in. Now it's time to make the node. So paste in this command, and this will create your new node account. And I'm going to create a password. Okay, so we're going to want to copy this because we're going to paste this account address into celo.env, and we're going to do that using vim. So let's vim into celo.env, and then press I for insert mode, backspace, your account address, and then shift insert that address in, and then press escape, colon, and then type WQ to get out of vim. Alright, so after that, we made changes to celo.env, so let's source it in. So source celo.env. Now you can see here the account address is in celo.env. So after that, we can start the light client. So okay, there's one more step we have to do. Alright, so right now we don't have permission to start the light client, so you're going to want to use this command. Pasting it in right now, and this will give us permission. Okay, so now we were added to people who are allowed to start the light client. So now if I start, there you go. The light client's running. So while it's running, let's enter a couple commands into it. And the most important one being so this checks if our node is synced with the network. And it's not synced, so that means there's an error. Okay, so that must have just been from a network spike. Now it's saying true. So the light client is working now. And let's stop the light client. So this command cat will show what's inside the startcelo.sh file, and this has the name of your node. So this is important for a few commands. The first one being the command to stop your node. So that'd be docker stop geth. And there you go, the node is stopped. Alright, so the next part is a bit more advanced, and this is going to be sending Celo from this node back to another address. So in this case, you're going to have some Celo in your possession, and I happen to have some on my phone address, and I sent it to my node address. So you're going to want to have the light client running, and then since the name of our node is geth, this is where the geth goes, and then this is going to attach this to our node. So type exit, attach geth to our node, and then the next thing we want to do is unlock our account. So where it says public address, delete that, and paste in your address. And this is where Signal really comes in handy, because you can send addresses from your computer back to your phone with Signal very easily. And there we go, our account's unlocked, so now it's ready to transfer Celo. So first, before we do that, let's check the balance of my address. So I'm gonna paste this in again. Weird. So that's how it worked. So I'm just gotta try the same thing again. And so as you can see, I have a very small amount of Celo and a very small amount of CUSD, about 5 cents worth of CUSD. And we're going to be sending Celo, but you need the CUSD for what's called a gas fee, and that makes sure that the block is validated, and it requires a small payment to get your Celo sent. It's very minimal on Celo compared to other blockchains, which is one of the bonuses to Celo. Alright, now this is what's going to be transferring. So just paste in your node address here. I did not mean to do that. What's it doing? And then my phone address here. Okay. Now it's going to run some checks. And there we go. It's transferring Celo. So that's the node going full circle, and everything's working correctly. So your Celo node's set up now, and I hope you found this tutorial useful. Thanks a lot, guys. See you in the next one.